What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be doing a solo CM. Now, I've done various solo CM videos in the past. We've done a comprehensive guide, we've done basic walkthroughs of my thought process doing a solo CM, just casual prep runs, we've done speed runs, we've done budget challenges, and recreations of our previous Ironman progression setups. Today we're going to be doing a speed run attempt. Truthfully, I'm a bit out of practice though, so I can't imagine us getting a new PB. But what we are going to do is also try out some new things. We've showcased the necklace of rupture recently, but in that video, we did not wear the Missouri mask. Turns out the Missouri mask is now worth wearing as it gives you new max hits. And this is obviously combined with the new arrows available as well, the Seeking Dragon arrows. I believe our max hit is like 101 right now at Vasa. Over the course of the raid, you do get a +2 or +3 max hit, depending on which room you're at. I do know my max hit is now 101, that's a fact. Now, we're not wearing the Venator ring, but I gotta imagine if you slap that on, you'll get even more max hits. But in a solo setup, I think it's a bit difficult to bring a Venator ring. Who knows, though? You know, I'm not exactly the world's best CM speedrunner here, so who knows what kind of technology they're bringing in, but that's not going to be for us right now. Right now, in fact, we're just hoping to get through the tightrope skip. But we're doing one extra change here just to increase our max hits even more. Now, this is probably not for the better, but it could be for more fun. So we're going to swap out our Missouri for Elite Void. Now, Elite Void is generally not used because it's much less accurate, but I'm very interested to see what kind of big numbers we can hit. So we're going to be doing this for fun today. And without further ado, let's get started. All right, so let's get the timer to hit 0 and we start the raid. Obviously, Tecton is going to be first, so we got our melee gear on with the Elder Maw. These days, the first hammer spec is always guaranteed. Let's see if we hit the second one. And unfortunately not, but we're going to continue on. We are trying to speedrun, but at the same time, I kind of just expect not to get a new PB on this run because Elite Void's actually not better than Missouri. Like, outright, I already know that. That's not what we're here for. We're just here to see the big numbers. Hopefully, that's the plan anyways. All right, so here at Tecton, in full of play, you actually do want your sights on accurate slash or reap. But after you're done with Tecton, you want to swap that back over to strength training, just like you would anywhere else. I think it's just specifically the oath plate that makes it to where that's actually the best in-slot option for Tecton. As we don't actually hit very hard here, but again, we only hit the one maul, unfortunately. And it's the guaranteed one, obviously. So right away, this is already going to be a pretty slow Tecton, we can already tell. We might not even be able to do enough damage here before it goes back to the anvil, but that's okay. Short of a catastrophic mess up, we're not going to reset the raid or anything. Again, while we are going to be no prepping, while we are going to be tightrope skipping, we're just going to do the best that we can in this one run. Short of a catastrophic mistake, we are not going to be resetting. Okay, well, this was a little bit of a mistake here, but we tank a nice humble 22 off prayer. So, and I think we're actually back in cycle right now. So, yeah, we'll just keep going. So, testing out Elite Void, this doesn't actually mess up my inventory too much, fortunately, because it just slots right into where the Missouri would have went and the Zerai Van Braces. But I will say, though, I'm not used to bringing a range helmet swap, so this is going to throw me for a loop. So coming right up here at Crab Room, we're going to have to juggle this overload. We're going to tank this crystal, and then hopefully we're quick enough to aggro the crabs here. Whenever you tank the crystal, it does speed up this room a little bit. Saves you that initial time, because you are able to get through all the crystals if you're quick enough. But yeah, you can see how I left the overload on the floor here, just so I can make sure I have the ability to equip any of my two-hand weapons, which actually is everything except my pickaxe. So I kind of do have to equip the pickaxe and defender here. I moved the overload closer to the exit of the crab room. That's pretty much what I have to do. It's very, very simple, right? But I've never done this because traditionally I've never brought a range helmet switch in. Obviously, in speed runs, people want to be on a Slayer task. I think for Shamans or Mystics, I've yet to do that yet. That's something I'll have to do in the future. But I'm not a very experienced speedrunner. I've just been learning things here and there. Like, I only very recently learned how to tightrope skip. Although I will say I have done enough reps of it now to where I feel comfortable doing it. To a certain extent anyways. At the end of the day, the Kirby tightrope skip is just one tick or one misclick away from messing up and your entire run is dead. So I think it's one of those things where no matter how many reps you get of it, it's always going to be a little nerve-wracking, at least for me. So anyways, as I said, we're no prepping, so we ran through the scav. We're already chopping. We dropped 3 potions so that we can make way for the axe, the tinderbox, and obviously the kindling. The amount of kindling we're looking for is 23 or more, and that's the case for the first batch and the second batch. Afterwards, you know, we make way for more inventory space as we deposit things we don't need. So that's pretty much all the specialty items for specific rooms, like the pickaxe and the fender, the ZGS, the things we need for the tightrope skip. We're not going to need that until, well, we get there after Thieving route. For now, though, we need this inventory space. Just for the potions, we're going to pick up at Vanguards. All right, so again, 23 plus kindling. We light a second brazier. For this third one, we're hoping for big chops here, as we get a 1, and then another 1. That's unfortunate. But if we get a couple of big chops here for the third set of kindling, then we should be able to light the 4th brazier pretty quickly as well to speed this up even more. But whenever this happens, honestly, I don't even know if it's worth it going for the 4th brazier. I'm going to try right now anyways, but realistically, like, does this really make that much of a difference? I don't know. But Ice Team's about to spawn. Let's get ready for it. We're going to overload. I kind of put an exclamation point on that, overloading, because there's been times where I forget to overload, which is kind of dumb, and I dump my Burning Claw specs. So if we are on pace, which unfortunately this raid we are already not on a good pace, you would only have 3 Burning Claw specs even after you Surge Potion. We Surge Potion there and we get a 4th spec, and that's just because we're actually quite slow on this raid right now, in part to the Tecton room, right at the start. But here we go, we get to test out the range, the Elite Void range, and we start with a 0, perfectly average. Shaman's nice and safe spotted. We're hitting a whole bunch of 0s. Unfortunately expected, and that's why people don't use Elite Void. A lot of 0s right now, a lot of 0s, and when we do hit, we just hit what, like that was a 5. That is unfortunate, so not a good showing right now. I did say, or I think I already said, but I did previously hit a 75 max hit here with the Missouri setup. So curious to see what the max hit here would be with the Elite Void. Again, we're not bringing the Venator ring. I just don't know how I would fit that in. Although I will say that I actually do still have 1 inventory space available in my current setup. But yeah, essentially right here, the difference between this setup and like a setup I used like a couple of months ago, or the last real session I was here for, is that we added the range helmet swap, and specifically we swapped out the Missouri for Elite Void here. So yeah, the only plus Elite Void has over Missouri is that the max hits are bigger. So I don't know, maybe in theory, if you just get really, really lucky, your best time would be with Elite Void. But I think that's more than spinning the lottery, you know, or lottery wheel. Like, it's, I don't know what the logic is actually behind speedrunning, like, or like what the strategy is, because obviously something like Elite Void is much less accurate than Missouri, so then your DPS on average is worse. But the max hit lie with the Elite Void, so I don't know. Anyways, here we are at Vanguards, and this is going to be pretty interesting as well, because even in the Missouri setup, I've always felt like the T-bow was actually not that accurate here, weirdly enough. I've never like looked at the numbers, so Okay, that is unfortunate. Typically, the scythe doesn't really hit that big here, but here, obviously when it does, it resets Vanguards. That kind of sucks. But yeah, even in the Missouri setup, I always felt like I missed a lot of hits here with the Tebow. But we hit a big number right there, 72. I have no idea what the max hit here is at Vanguards with the setup. And that's not great, we'll run the risk of resetting Vanguards again. So right now that Mage Vanguard is at 74 health available to hit, and I'm just going to ignore that right now because, again, I'm not sure what our max hit here is. Yeah, okay, so we're just going to follow the ranged Vanguard around, step under it when we can't hit it, and then we'll tag the other two. Vanguards is always a bit of a frustrating room because someone can correct me if I'm wrong, someone maybe that knows more about Vanguard specifically, but I'm pretty sure when they decide to dig is random. Like, I'm sure there's a minimum amount of hits they take or that they attack, and then it digs. But sometimes you hit it 2 or 3 times and then it digs. Other times you hit it like 6 times and then it still won't dig. Like, it's I don't know if inconsistent is the right word. There's probably like a range in which it decides like if it wants to dig in that moment, which is just really annoying, especially in a speedrun context, because sometimes you so desperately need them to dig, otherwise you run the risk of resetting. And then when it doesn't reset, you're just wasting time because you can't hit anything. And then sometimes it's the complete opposite situation, right? Like, you really don't want them to dig, and then they keep digging. Like, kind of like this one. This one, it felt like they have dug a lot, unfortunately. But yeah, there goes the Tebow with a 65. When it does hit, it hits really hard. So that's going to be Elite Void in a nutshell. Like, a lot of zeros, a lot of big hits. I'm not sure if there's much in between, honestly. Let's see what this Vanguard time was, because, yeah, 248. Just a lot of digging, and our hits weren't, too crazy. Also, we did reset right in the beginning, so that was pretty costly. Heading into Thieving Room, there's not too much going on here as far as doing this actual room. Just make sure you have the inventory space for the grubs. And then when you get about 8 to 9 grubs, you want to start depositing right away and keep that cycle going. You don't actually want to get like 28 grubs in one inventory and then deposit. That's going to take much, much longer. But other than that, what's important in this room is exactly what I'm doing right now, depositing potions that I don't need. It's very, very important. This is probably the most important step, in my opinion, is to put away one restore. This one restore will stay in that private storage until you get to Ohm. That ensures that you'll always have enough restores, enough prayer for the actual Ohm fight. I think 2 prayer potions is like the minimum. I mean, I'm sure if you flick a lot and get a little lucky with the prayer drain mechanic that you can get away with less than 2 restores, but 2 restores is like the priority, or the minimum for a comfortable run. And we also put away a bunch of brews as well. Right now, we do have the 1 brew in our inventory as we get the last of the grubs here. But I think I'm going to go ahead and put that one away. And this goes back to our extra inventory space being taken up with the range helmet swap now. But basically right here, we take out all the specialty items. We did sip the stamina, then put that away again. We now have our pickaxe, defender, EGS, locator orb, phoenix necklace, all the room specific stuff out in our inventory now because we're going to be using them shortly. Always protect melee against these scavengers. They actually do hurt in challenge mode. Now here at Vespula, while we do have a couple of doses of restore, we were going to use the 1 because that was just kind of a leftover from a potion back at Vanguards. But this extra one, the 4-dose one we have in our inventory, we're going to do our best to avoid using it. I do believe you could probably get away with using a couple of doses, but we're going to be relying on the Prayer Enhance. When you do sip the Prayer Enhance, it actually gives you 1 prayer back instantly. So yeah, right there we were just using it to, like, for all its value, really. Now there is a plugin that tells you on the tick when you're going to get that enhanced to tick and give you one prayer. I don't have that enabled, but having that on is actually quite helpful if you are interested in doing this yourself. You can then line it up pretty well with doing Vespula. But right here, we have one less brew than usual. Typically, I would have an emergency brew here in case I messed up a Vespula, but we don't have it. And this is because now we have a full inventory. Like, look at this. We sipped the enhanced, we dropped it, but our inventory is packed. Previously, without the mask, we would, or the Elite Void Ranger helmet in this case, we would have the extra inventory space. But right now, if we had that third brew, we just don't, right? We can't. We'd have to juggle it or something. So I elected to keep that in private storage. We get ourselves down to 1 health here, locate an orb, destroy it. Now we have the 1 inventory space available for the crystal key. Now this is nerve-wracking, right? Keystone crystal getting picked up, tightrope skip here. But we do get it done. Honestly, it's not that difficult, I don't think. Like, at first, I did struggle with it for a couple of attempts, but overall, it did not take me that long to start getting this down. It just comes down to which inventory slots you're comfortable with clicking, and the Brew and Phoenix necklace, or, you know, I guess if you're a main, you would use Purple Sweets. Basically, a tick eat and the Phoenix necklace, and how comfortable you are with your camera angle, clicking the Keystone Crystal, and then the rope again. It's very thin. Is that the right saying? Thin margins? It's a very thin line of like mistakes. I probably just butchered that saying. Whatever. We're at Guardians now. Not too much going on with Guardians, but what's up next is Vasa. We're going to be able to test out that Elite Void range again. But first we got to get through Guardians room, which... Okay, this entire game is RNG, but when it comes to something as simple as Guardians, where you just click on it and do damage, step back, click on it and do damage, the RNG shows more than anything, because you can do something the exact same way and it'll either be a 1 minute 30 room or a 2.5 minute room, and there's just nothing you can do about it. I will say, though, that in our oath plate, we do lose out on a few max hits here. But the thing is, the full oath plate is beneficial, or more beneficial, everywhere else in the raid, including the Vasa crystals that are about to come up. You'll notice that I don't have a switch specifically for the Vasa crystals. They are weak to stab, but bringing a stab weapon in is not worth it. Although I guess in a pinch, the Burning Claws does have a stab option in it, so you could like claw poke or whatever. But scything with the oath plate is actually really, really good. We are going to be using Burning Claw specs, though. You can see that I moved my Burning Claws up with the rest of my melee gear. So, okay, our T-bow did not hit anything, basically, before it hit this first crystal, which is unfortunate. Leave Void in a nutshell, right? I mean, we're hoping to see some big numbers here, but the trade-off is that we're also going to see a whole lot of zeros, it feels like. Okay, now we're beginning to hit a bit more. Maybe I spoke too soon, I don't know. A couple of zeros again. Yeah, DPS is definitely not great right now. We do get this one big EXP drop. That was a 99. So our previous max hit in the Missouri was a 101. 99's not quite that, but it's still insane to see a 99, honestly. And it's not my max hit, so I really do wonder what our max hit is. I have no idea. I do know that in the absolute max range, which again, I don't feel like is reasonable in the solo. Again, you know, we're like, maybe after you're done watching this video, you're going to click over to like some world record holder and he has like 5 rings in his inventory. He's got the Venator ring in there. But for me, I don't think it's reasonable to bring the Venator ring in. But if I did, I do believe my max hit is a 109. Keep in mind, it's the Seeking Dragon Arrows, it's the Necklace of Rupture, and then full Elite Void with the Quiver and everything as well. Now, this is another question I have as we're working on Mystics right now. I wonder if there's a scenario where range is now better than mage. Obviously, if you have the salve amulet, range is better, but in most solos, you would not have a salve amulet. Again, going back to what I just said, maybe solos do bring world record solos do bring a Venator ring. They do bring a salve, but not me. Alright, it's pretty humble mystics so far, although I will say we only have 2 brews and 3 doses, which is a lot less usual. It's 1 less brew, right? Because that brew we put away before Vespula, we never took back out. So we're working with 1 less brew than what I'm accustomed to, but hopefully this will be okay. Again, pretty humble mystics so far, so hopefully that's the case the rest of the way. You never know with the mystics though. Sometimes, before you can get them into the corner safe spot, that is, you'll get absolutely Mike Tyson. Alright, but we make it through mystics, no problem. We just sipped the 1 brew dose there to get ourselves even higher HP, because up next is Muttadile room, which is even scarier. We're gonna flick to our melee gear in between our shadow casts to try and mitigate damage as best as we can. And let's get ready for the ZGS spec. Actually, that was a little early. Ideally, you want to spec it as it's moving towards the tree, but right there it was still 53%, so it wasn't moving quite yet. It should be okay though, I think, although we are taking a little bit right now. It might start to move potentially. It does, okay. You know, that is weird. I'm sure we would have finished it off anyways, but I don't know if you guys noticed that it initially moved towards the tree, but then stopped and redirected its attention onto me. I don't know why that is. Like, shouldn't it just beeline to the tree? I don't know. Okay, we are taking heavy damage here at the Muttadile. I want to attribute that to the Elite Void, but you kind of just take a lot of damage here regardless. Now, can we get a big number here at Muttadile? Or we can just get a whole bunch of zeros. Okay, I think that was like a 75, 76 to finish off the Muttadile there, which again is not a new max hit. You know, the highest number we've seen so far over the course of this raid, I think, is the 99 back at Vasa. There's still a chance though, you know, obviously we're heading into Ulm now. We could see 100 plus at Ulm. Hopefully that's the case, but you know, or just a bunch of 90s, that'd be great too. But yeah, let's go ahead and heal back up. Let's reorganize our inventory here to get ready for Ulm. Again, you know, we have that 1 revit in the private storage. We're going to take that out. The ratio we're going with is 5 brews and 2 restores. We actually have an extra brew in there. I'm actually a little surprised about that. But 5 brews, 2 restores is very, very comfortable. I've done this inventory of brews and restores even before max gear. You know, honestly, these days you could probably get away with less than 5 brews and 2 restores, but it could just come down to a little bit of RNG in that regard. Like, I've done plenty of Ulms with like using 2 brews, but I never bring less than 5 brews. I never bring more than 5 brews either, actually. I always bring precisely 5 brews, unless something weird just happened and I have less brews and I'm kind of forced to doing it. But over 1,000 solo CMs, I've definitely been working with 5 brews and 2 restores all this time. And interestingly enough, regardless of what gear I had, like even when I was without a single mega rare, I still use 5 brews and restores. So I don't really know how that works actually. But anyways, we're working on the 8-1 here as I'm yapping away, and we're actually pretty much done with the mage hand already. That's pretty much max mage in a nutshell. Which is why it can be kind of frustrating to learn the mage running method when you have a shadow, because before you know it, the phase is over and we transition over to melee. I will say though, it's a little unlucky right now, and this is just going to be something that happens every single raid, is that with the shadow method, there's one side where you take no damage, and then there's one side where you do have to tank a hit every 8 hits, hence the 12-0 and the 8-1. And this just comes down to which side Ulm decides to spawn in. Not much you can do about that. Whereas if you have a 4-tick weapon, I mean, it's always just going to be damageless, regardless. Okay, we're taking a good bit of damage here on the melee hand. Unfortunately, the hammer did not land, so it's going to be a bit of a slow melee hand, although I say as it's half HP. I guess I did just hit a 000 though, which feels bad. Couple more swings here and we'll be done with the melee hand. Yeah, pretty standard stuff on the mage and melee hands. No new range or no new mage and melee upgrades. We're mostly just here for the elite void range, trying to see if we can hit a couple of hundreds here and there, you know? Alright, so despite us no prepping, despite us tightrope skipping, we're not on a very good time right now, even for my standards. We're almost 24 minutes in, and we're just now working on P2. But we'll get to the head phase, hopefully hit some big numbers, and then we'll see what kind of loot we get, you know? All right, I know I said the 12-0 side was, you know, damageless, hence the 0 in the 12-0, but obviously you have to do the method correctly, as I'm not right now. Unfortunate. We still have 4 brews, though, you know, we only really used the 1 for P1. At this point, I've done hundreds of raids with the Shadow and the Scythe now, and I think the 3-1 Scythe is an okay method, but I do think the mage running, the traditional 4-tick mage running of 3-0, is a more satisfying method than the 12-0 or 8-1 method with the Shadow. I don't know, I think it just flows better. 4-tick weapon, Ulm turns its head every 4 ticks. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's because of the way that you can, like, more specifically choose when to walk tiles and run tiles. Something about it. Getting dragged on the ring finger to the center. I don't know if I'm really explaining this well. I think maybe someone else doing solos could also maybe relate to this. I don't know, but yeah, it's just not quite as satisfying for whatever reason. But obviously, I'm not going to go ahead and downgrade to a Sanguinesti staff or something over a Shadow just because I think it flows better or something. The DPS difference is just too great. But speaking of mage methods, there is the Eye of Ayak now. That's not exactly new, but it's new enough to where I never bothered to learn how to use the Eye of Ayak here because it is a 3-tick weapon. So maybe I'll learn that at some point. I don't know. But as long as I have a Shadow these days, there's really no need for it, unfortunately. That's the thing with new content and then being already endgame. Obviously, not every piece of content is going to be like new best in slot. Like, it just can't be. Like, that's just unrealistic, and it's probably not good for the health of the game. But as a result of being an endgame account, yeah, it's like, what reason do I have to bring an Eye of Ayak in here other than just to say, like, hey, look, guys, you know, I can do this now. You know, like, but maybe at some point I'll learn it. Maybe I'll start a new account and, like, I'll have an Eye of Ayak specifically before a Trident or a Sanguinesti staff or a Shadow. But in the case of this account, I definitely had a Shadow way before Doom was released. So that was never going to be a thing where I learned to use the Eye of Ayak. Fun fact, actually, I did have a Shadow before a Sanguinesti staff. I used a Trident for the longest time, and then actually the overarching story is I was doing Chambers as the first raid grind. Like, I really didn't want to do Theater of Blood and TOA before getting a Twisted Bow. More specifically, TOA. TOA actually came out amidst my Chambers grind. The bulk of my Chambers grind, TOA didn't even exist yet. And which is why what I'm about to say, if you didn't know, it makes it even like weirder or crazier, is that the order of mega rares I got is the Shadow first, and then the Scythe, and then the Twisted Bow, despite all my efforts trying to get a Twisted Bow first. But it just took so long that I eventually branched out to doing the other two raids as well, especially Taub. I kind of just did Taub sporadically because Taub is 100% reliant on a team, having a team. So I kind of just had to do it whenever there was a team available. Obviously, it is soloable, but I mean, you need quite a lot of gear to solo, nor is it worth it even if you could do it, right? It's not worth it to solo. But TOA, easily soloable, although albeit a bit miserable to do so. And in Chambers, I actually find way more fun to solo than in teams, unfortunately. The team methods for Olm just make me fall asleep, honestly. Like, at its core, it's the same concept. You make the head turn, but the manner in which you do it, like, you're just in the center, you're just like left, right, you know? Or you get the guy on the melee hand and you just stand there and you just swing away. I don't know. It's just not as interesting or satisfying as the solo methods here. All right, so we're going to be wrapping up P3 here. Very careful not to reset the hands earlier. Now we just need to do enough damage to the mage hand. There we go. And we transition over into the range, Elite Void range. Let's see how this goes. We hit another 99. Can we hit 100 at least? Is that going to happen here? 76 into a 0. Classic. Like I said, when we are hitting, we're hitting big numbers. But other than that, we're hitting zeros. And we're taking heavy damage here. Unfortunately, we are going to have to kind of brew at inopportune or not ideal, unideal, non-ideal times where we're just brewed down and we're not regenerating to our 120 stats. Yeah, a lot of zeros. So, you know, it's one thing to explain how bad Elite Void can be compared to other pieces of gear. But it's another thing to show it as we hit a ton of zeros. Again, you know, on occasion we hit the big number like that 81 right there and it feels good, but like these zeros do not feel good. And there we have it. A 30-24, which is honestly quite slow. But hey, we didn't die. We used Elite Void. We hit a lot of zeros, a couple of 99s. We get uncut rubies and gold ore.